Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Club Junkie podcast. It's another Thursday, and I think your boy sounds a little more normal. I know I've been having two bad shows in terms of coughing and all that, but hopefully today, we're back on track. So we'll see. Last time it was like right near the end of the show, and things started going haywire. Let's hope I make it today. But feeling a heck of a lot better. The only thing is like my left ear still has like this little sinus pressure built up in it, and it like wants to pop, like it feels so close when I like swallow or yawn or whatever. Just hasn't done it yet. So everything feels a little quiet in that ear. Hoping it'll change. We'll see. We'll see. I've been hoping for a couple days now. It hasn't changed. I've been trying to yawn. I've been doing all the things, that you usually do to pop your ears, and it just hasn't worked yet. So I'm hoping it just goes away on its own, hopefully in a day or two. We'll see. We'll see. So before we get going today, got a couple items to talk about, but before we get going today, just want to let you know this episode brought to you by Team Titleist. Team Titleist was started by Titleist as just a big community for golf junkies, kind of like Golf WRX, just a big community of golf, motivated people who are excited about new gear, trying new gear, and just, being around other people who just love golf equipment. And, it's community, as they call it. And, it just gives you a way to connect to Titleist product experts. Gives you an opportunity for prototype testing. If you ever see those white sleeves, white boxes of Titleist Pro V1 golf balls, it gives you an opportunity to test those, along with getting some pretty cool gear and events, like the TT logo gear. That's all Team Titleist, so it gives you a chance to get your hands on some of that. So basically, go ahead and check out www.titleist.com/Team Titleist, all one word, and check out Team Titleist for yourself. I love the prototype testing stuff. When you all of a sudden start seeing the boxes show up on social media, people in the forums are talking about it, and it's always, a big thing about what's new with the new golf ball and what's different, who's playing it, has anybody, seen any changes. So it's always an exciting time. I always enjoy seeing those things pop up. And every once in a while, I get a couple of those balls, and it's pretty fun to be able to hit those. So, but yeah, like I said, it's Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon, evening, whatever the heck you're listening to this. Or watching it on YouTube potentially. I mean, I know I haven't posted on YouTube in like the past 2 weeks, but that's because the amount of editing it would have taken to edit out the coughs and hacks and God knows what else that I was doing, I didn't have time for that. So I just didn't post it. It was just easier on all of us. And but this show, like I said, hopefully I'm getting back to getting the stuff back on YouTube. We'll see. But it's been an interesting time. I didn't play any golf last weekend, unfortunately, and I didn't actually even play Thursday. Because, or last weekend I didn't play any Thursday. I played some this weekend. I got to the range this week. I've had a lot of stuff that I need to get out. I've got like 3 days of golf planned in the next, I'm going to try to play tonight, playing on Friday, and then I'm going to be hitting a bunch of balls and stuff on the range on Saturday, doing some filming stuff for Golf WRX. So I've got a lot of golf in the next couple days. But, the rain, all that, and then, doing a little family stuff. It just takes away from golf sometimes. But I've been out to the range this week. I've hit some stuff. I've got a bunch of stuff to hit. And it's awesome because I'm looking at all the bags that are behind the camera there. And I'm like, man, I want to hit that a little more. I want to hit that a little more. And next week's show, I should have a pretty good show talking about a ton of stuff, which would be pretty cool. But this week I got my hands on two brand new things. I technically got my hands on another thing, but I haven't taken it out to the course yet. So I'm not going to talk about it. I hit it on the range. Initially, like stuff, but I haven't got it on the range yet. So today we're going to be talking about a wood shaft and a driver. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about the brand new, just released, just announced. Technically, I think all the sneak things came out yesterday from all the dealers, but today's the official day of the launch, which is Fujikura's new Speeder Nx shaft. And I got my hands on a couple of those. The boys over there at Fuji sent me a couple of those, so took those out and played them. And then I also have my hands on some brand new Mizuno gear as well. I've got the new ST-G or the ST220 in my hands here as well. I got the T22 wedges in my hand, but unfortunately I just took them to the range, and hitting off mats on the range, it just doesn't, you can get a good, you can get a feel for the wedges. You can kind of hit them into greens and see a little bit of spin and all that. But until you get it on the course and really hit it into some greens and hit some chip shots and do some stuff with it for real, I don't want to talk about it yet. So They are pretty low bounce, at least the ones that came in here. So I'm hoping the course isn't too crazy wet today when I take those out, but we'll go see. And if I dig some ditches, hey, I dig some ditches, and we'll go see. But initially, those right on the range, I mean, the feel is really soft. So I've got high hopes for those when we get to the course. And yeah, other than that, like I said, I haven't been playing a whole lot. It's starting to get the league is done. I came in, I don't know, way less than middle of the pack. It kind of happened because I missed a few weeks with some stuff like 4th of July. I took that week off. And then I just, I was abandoned. I was out of town that week. I was out of town another week. So I just missed a handful of weeks that really killed me. And then for whatever reason, the way GolfLeagueNetwork.com calculates handicaps, I'm the lowest handicap in the league, which is insanity. And it's also insanity because if you're a 4.9 handicap for 9 holes, it rounds you down to a 4. So if there's whatever number's in front of the decimal point, it doesn't matter what's behind it. You are that number, and that's it. So I gave a lot of strokes to a lot of people, and I got beat a lot this year. But I mean, it's okay. I mean, it is what it is. It's happened to me a lot over the years. I'm just kind of used to it now. But it's just something that they go with. So the fun stuff, the brand new Fujikura Speeder Nx. So it's been a little while since we've seen a brand new speeder, and I've actually got 2 of them here that I've been actually playing. I've got this one here, which is 60 gram, which I've been playing in driver, and then they also sent me a 70 gram, which I've had loaded up in my TaylorMade Sim 2 Max 3-wood. So I've been playing both, and kind of a cool color scheme with the lighter blue out here, and then it fades into kind of a darker blue with all the graphics. Some people will, I mean, just in graphics, I think they look pretty cool. I know some guys will complain that the big Fujikura logo is on the top, so when you try to set logo down, there's still a logo up. It didn't bother me. I mean, at first I thought it kind of would, because the Vista Pro has that same design, and when I first got that in my hand, I was like, I don't know if I'll love that. Honestly, when you're hitting balls, it doesn't matter. You don't notice it. But it's a pretty cool metallic finish. And the big story on the Speeder NX is the VTC, which is variable torque core. So what Fujikura is doing, and what they've learned, I guess, using Enzo, which is their, if you've ever heard of them talk about that, Enzo is their crazy high-speed camera system that's in their headquarters. It's like, I can't remember how many cameras it is. It's like over 20 high-speed cameras. They can put little dots, like reflective dots on the shaft, on the club head, on your body, I mean, everything. And as you swing, it basically slow motion captures everything of the swing. So they can tell, the way the head twists, the way it moves, how that shaft reacts to your swing. I mean, the amount of data points it gives is just absolutely crazy. And I think it's them and one other company are the only 2 that have it. And they designed it, and it's a pretty cool system. And you basically just hit balls like a GC quad, and then Enso just records everything that you do, and then they can sit there and pop up on the screen a big, display of you swinging from a bunch of different angles, and it just shows everything of where the shaft loads, where it unloads, everything, and they can really do some kind of crazy things and do a lot of research with that as well. So this is the brand new line, the NX. Which is, I've fortunately known about it for a while now. My friends over there at Fujikura had told me about it, and I've actually had this for a couple of weeks. I just haven't been able to talk about it. And it was funny because I was going to post something in the Golf WRX forums because people were talking about it in there, and because it was on the Japanese site for a little while because it got released there first. And people were talking about it. And I was going to post something about maybe just the Fujikura box or something like that. But I decided to be nice and not do that and let people, kind of talk amongst themselves about it. But yeah, so basically what they're doing is torque is always a big, discussion topic when it comes to shafts. Everybody assumes lower torque is better, but that's not necessarily the case. And torque is basically just a measurement of twist, how much twisting the shaft does throughout the swing. But what Fujikura kind of found was that, just making something with 0 torque doesn't necessarily solve any accuracy issues. You need some torque there. And what they've been now starting to analyze is torque in different sections. And basically what they're doing here now is the torque in the handle section, the grip section, and the torque down in the tip section are you know, greatly reduced or reduced compared to the midsection. So you get a bunch of stability, a bunch of accuracy, but you still get that lively feel and good energy transfer as you would with a softer shaft. So it's kind of a cool thing that they're working on and kind of discovered. And this is the first series that's using that technology. So like I said, you've got basically you've got an overall torque number, and I think it's like it's 3.7 in the 60 and 2.9 in the 70 gram versions, but it doesn't, you know, tell the tale, and the torque number doesn't necessarily tell the tale on any shaft, because there is every shaft manufacturer, you know, calculates that number differently, and then some even OEMs will take a shaft like from Fujikura, test it themselves in their own way, and have a different torque number. So the torque number, there's no universal way, but what Fujikura does, like I said, is just got basically have 3 zones in the shaft, and the torque is basically higher in the middle, lower in the tip, lower in the handle, and it's basically done to do that, to give you, like I said, more control. Along with, you know, more control, more accuracy, along with still giving good energy transfer, so you can still keep that ball speed up and hit some long drives with it. So let's try to get it set up here. I'm going to use one of my little ball markers to wedge it up. So yeah, so the Speeder NX, brand new out. Like I said, I just drop it on myself. I'm going to blame the crappy Amazon grips here that are causing it to roll around. But anyway, so the Speeder NX, and like I said, variable torque core, which is kind of a cool new design, and basically it's a mid-high launch shaft with mid to low spin, and it's basically a you know, higher launch in the 40 and 50 gram, a little more mid launch in the 60 and 70 gram, and the first thing I was shocked, because it was basically originally designed as a Japan shaft, and typically the Japan shafts play a little bit softer, they launch a little higher, they're just overall a little softer profile. And the first thing I noticed when putting it, because I got it in the 3-wood first, I know, which is kind of weird. I think I was fed up with the shaft that was in there. I wasn't hitting it well, and I wanted something new. So when this showed up, the first one I put it in was the 3-wood, and then I had to decide which Club Connect shaft I was pulling the tip off to put this on. So I took the 3-wood out and hit it, and I was kind of shocked at kind of how stout it feels. It doesn't have, you know, like hitting the Speeder Evolution stuff, the Evo 5, the Evo 7, which I've had both on the walls. Those have kind of a really lively, a little more soft feel. They're really easy to feel load. And this shaft here actually does have more of a firmer feel to it. I mean, I was hitting it directly next to Ventus Black, just because I've been playing Ventus Black a lot in my Sim 2 Max, and I had that out there, and then I took that out, put this shaft in, and it's pretty amazing that this has kind of that stouter feel that kind of the Black has. And like I said, I was pretty amazed at that. I really thought it was going to be a much more Speeder Evo feel compared to, you know, more of a Ventus feel, but it's actually very smooth. You know, in terms of loading, it definitely has a firmer feel when you load it. It's not as, you know, as easy to feel the load as, like I said, with an Evo series, but it does, you know, it does load, and it does have a really good kick and impact. Responsiveness is really good. I mean, when you miss it on the toe, which I did a lot with it, unfortunately, my first shots out, it lets you know. I mean, you get a little bit of that vibration. When you hit it dead center, it's just absolutely flush. And then that kick at impact when you hit it, you know, dead center, it just goes. The shaft is extremely consistent. I mean, typically most of the stuff like the VeloCore stuff and Ventus, that stuff is kind of the benchmark for how consistent and accurate a shaft tends to be for me. This here is pretty close to it. I mean, it was, you know, there's always people who talk about a shaft that feels loose and a shaft that feels tight. And typically a loose shaft, they feel like good swings are not necessarily going pinpoint accurately where they want it to. And tight shafts, it's like they could hit it through, you know, in Arena League, you know, goalpost, which are terribly thin. And with this one here, it definitely has a really tight feel to it. Like I said, for being a shaft that was released in Japan first, really shocked at how tight this thing felt and how kind of stiff it feels. I mean, this is a 60X. It definitely feels like it plays just as stout as, say, a Ventus Blue or Black in 6X. I mean, it really does. It's got a really you know, strong feel to it. And I think for a lot of higher swing speed players, a lot of better players who are looking for a little more launch, but they don't want to lose that. You know, some players just like a boardier feel, a little stiffer feel, and this is going to definitely give it to you. You know, ball speed on it was really good. I had my little what was it, Mevo Plus out there, and I had it out tonight or last night when I was hitting balls, and I hit some terrible shots. I really just was not swinging well, but the ball speed also was really good, and for how far out on the face I was hitting some shots, the ball speed numbers were definitely, they were high 140s, even touching the 150s, and I wasn't really that close to center. Getting on the center definitely was kind of those mid 150 marks, and really the ball was flying really well, but it stayed on line. I mean, I was hitting it off the toe, and yes, when I got steep over the top and I hit it left, it went left. There's no shaft that will stop that. I mean, we all know that. But hitting it, anywhere closer to the center of the face, the ball really did stay on line, and it seemed like it would stay in play for the most part. It did not really fly super far right or left. I mean, it may go straight right, straight left, but it didn't have a ton of curvature on each ball. And the mid-high launch, I mean, personally, I think the 60X, it's got a little bit more of a mid-launch. I thought it was kind of one of those, probably maybe slightly higher than blue, but it wasn't as high as red. So I would say for me, it was closer to mid-launch. But it's got, like I said, a really good feel. I thought it penetrated through the wind really easily. The spin numbers that I was seeing, like I said, I mean, when you're hitting it high and, high off the face and out towards the toe, you're always seeing higher spin numbers. But everything seemed really under control other than, the few double spin, you got on there when hitting balls out there on the range. But the spin numbers seemed, actually pretty low. Everything I was hitting with my Sim 2 Max was in kind of that mid. It was kind of around that 2,400 number, right around there, which is pretty much where I typically like to be. I think black can get under that a little bit. But for the most part, spin-wise, it was in that like 23 to 2,400 range. It really did keep the spin down pretty well. And, like I said, the launch for me, I thought was a little lower than I expected, because I knew this was a mid-high launch shaft. And that's part of the reason, too, that it went directly into a 3-wood first. But the driver one, I really expected it to hit really high. And with that Sim 2 Max head, I really expected it to go high because that head launches high as it is. And it really didn't. I mean, it really was under control. It was still easy to hit. And I didn't even feel like I really needed to crank the head down in terms of loft because it definitely was going pretty straight, pretty darn far, and it wasn't as high a trajectory as I thought. So I've hit it in that head. I hit it in the Epic Speed head. Epic Max LS head. I've hit it in both of those, and really for both, the trajectory is, like I said, really more mid. I really expected it to launch higher than it did. But like I said, really consistent. You always felt you had control of it, and honestly has more of a stiffer feel than I think most people are going to expect it to have, being a Japan release first. So overall, I think, Fujikura, like I said, with the variable torque, like I said, still is a good kick and impact. The handle, the tip definitely feel really tight, but the profile doesn't change, and it still is easier to launch than, say, Ventus Black is. So just a really good offering there. In 3-wood, again, kind of surprised it didn't launch as high as I thought it would. I was hitting flatter shots than I expected to. Definitely have a little more launch. I was playing a Diamond D Plus 70X in there before. This here definitely has a little easier. It's a little easier to launch. I definitely don't find that I'm hitting shots that, that kind of, leak a little more left or draw hard left. They pretty much go straight on their line. There's, very minimal curvature to it. And most of my shots, the past couple days with that thing have been kind of off the toe. And, it's just kind of one of those things where it draws a little bit and it kind of hangs out, or it draws a little bit or it hangs out there right. And it just kind of goes there. It doesn't, the shaft seems to have a ton of stability to kind of keep that head stable, keep it square, and the ball just goes out. So in the 3-wood, it's worked really well. Like I said, the 70 gram there, I tipped it. I think I only tipped it like a half inch in that head. Tipped it half inch. I'm playing it at like 42 3/4 inches, 42 and a half, somewhere like right in there. I don't remember exactly where I cut it, but playing that there, and like I said, a Sim 2 Max head. 15 degree, and hitting it off the turf, it's a little more, it's a little more line drive than I thought. I don't mind it there off the tee. It is definitely a little easier to elevate and kind of get it up in the air. But again, I think it's more of a mid-launch shaft for me than mid-high, and I don't mind that. Like it really doesn't. I mean, I think it's definitely flying higher than that D plus that I had in there. But I ran into the problem with, for whatever reason, I put a Ventus Red in there, and I kind of was just hitting high spinny shots that just kind of fell out of the sky with it. And I'm definitely not getting that here. Here it's a little flatter. Hitting it into like a par 5 green, I'm definitely have to worry, or not worry, but plan for a little more rollout because it just doesn't super high. But the distance on it's great, and hitting it off the tee is really solid. So Overall, I've been super impressed with both shafts, and I think especially for the higher swing, higher speed players, uh, that 70X in a fairway it could be a really great option. Really good ball speed, but I think it's got the tight control and feel that you want. And like I said, if you want something that feels a little boardy, but you still need to help get that ball in the air, I think this thing's got a great combination of those two things. And like I said, there's a lot of players who are high speed, high launch guys who, they'll put something in there, and if it doesn't feel stout, they just don't have confidence in it, and they want that little bit of boardiness. And this is going to give you a little bit of that while not killing you on launch and still being able to kind of hit that thing off the turf and get it up in the air. But overall, just a really cool shaft that really has has felt really good. Is it going to take over for black for me? I don't know. It definitely. I think the slight counterbalancing of the black, I swing it a little more consistently in the driver, because this definitely is less counterbalance. I haven't put on the swing weight scale to see, but you could definitely feel a little more head weight with the NX than you can, like, say, Ventus Black, which Ventus Black is slightly counterbalanced, so that makes sense. But it's overall just a really good option for someone looking for like a mid to slight mid-high shaft that wants something that feels tight, that they don't want to go to something that feels all loose and kind of noodly and has a ton of kick to it and all that. Like, this is going to stay with you. I mean, even if you step on it, it's really going to be there with you and offer you a lot of good control. It's just a really good offering. I'm hoping that, with this thing here, we may see some other versions. You may see a low launch, low spin version. Maybe there's and I don't know. I'm totally making this stuff up. I have no clue if there's any more of these coming out. But with this NX line, I mean, it would be very cool to see, maybe a tour spec version for the low launch, low spin for some players, or, to see something that maybe even launches a little higher. But overall, just a really good shaft that I enjoyed hitting and had a lot of fun out there playing it. And I'm going to, like I said, it's going to stay in the 3-wood for right now. I just really like the accuracy of it. And driver wise, it's definitely going to, I'm definitely going to have it on the course a few more times to see where it leads me. Because right now it's, like I said, it's pretty impressive, and I've had a lot of fun hitting it. And I think it's a little more playable than, say, Ventus Black. I mean, if you get one of those, you get some shots that get a little squirrely with this thing, I feel like it, being just a touch softer, and having a little more spin, for me, it gives me just a little more playability. But yeah, the Speeder Nx, if you go to fujikuragolf.com, it's probably up there now. I don't know exactly when they're pressing the button to make the page live, but it should be up sometime today with all the specs and everything. Like I said, they make a 40 gram, a 50 gram, a 60 gram, and a 70 gram, and they have those options. So nothing crazy heavy weight, but I think a 70 gram, 70 gram X comes in at 74.5 grams. So that's pretty standard. The 60X comes in at 65 grams. So I mean, I think those are pretty traditional weights to get people into those for whether it's a driver or fairway wood. You can actually get an X in the 50 gram, which is like 56, and I know that's become a little more popular as kind of those mid 50 weights and X's. A lot of guys like hitting those, and especially if you're like me, which I'm like a 106, 108. I may breeze over that a touch, here and there, where you're not a truly hardcore X guy, but some of the stiffs play kind of soft to you. Those 50 gram X's have become more and more popular with a lot of players, or just players wanting to go lightweight and see if they can swing it a little faster. So, but yeah, overall, just a really fun shaft to hit, a really good shaft to hit. And like I said, I really like it. I think it's a great option for players looking for a little more height without sacrificing any of that feel or that stability or that accuracy. So the profile of it is the handle section is somewhat, I think it's somewhat firm, where the midsection, tip section are both stiff. So kind of a Ventus bluish type, type setup there in terms of the overall profile. But like I said, kind of the launch from Fuji will tell you mid-high. I think it's a little lower than that. But overall, just a really good, really consistent shaft. So I've had a lot of fun hitting it. Like I said, it's going to stay in the bag a little bit. I'm definitely going to hit it some more. I'll probably find whether I'm going to be playing it tonight or maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But it'll definitely be in the bag to be swapped out if needed for either of those rounds. So it's been great. But yeah, like I said, the Fuji, go to fujikuragolf.com. Check it out. The paint job's pretty cool, especially, I guess, if you're like a Carolina Tar Heels fan or something like that. It's kind of got that really light blue, but it's a sharp-looking shaft. They did a nice job on it, and the variable torque core seems to work pretty well. So I'll endorse it that way. But like I said, go check out the Speeder NX. and it's a pretty cool shaft. So before I get into the next thing, which is a driver, we'll also go ahead and let you know that this episode brought to you by Club Champion, and Club Champion is calling all levels of golfer to get a tour level club fitting, no matter skill level, at Club Champion. With more than 85 stores nationwide, it's never been easier to lower your scores through perfectly fitted custom equipment. Book now at clubchampiongolf.com. Definitely, like I say every week, I hear from so many golfers that say, "Hey, I'm too bad. My swing is so bad, I won't even get fit. It doesn't matter." And it's like, if you talk to any fitter out there, they will tell you that higher handicap golfers see the most improvement. They see the biggest changes, and even if you think your swing is so inconsistent that it won't matter, you'll probably find some big time gains, especially if you're playing some old equipment. Like I said, go to clubchampiongolf.com. Heck, it's even fun. You get to hit a bunch of stuff that you don't own that you just get to hit. And to me, that's a blast. So go in there, open mind, let them fit you with whatever. Just hand you clubs, start swinging away. And like I said, it's pretty fun. I had a blast. I loved hitting it. And I just said, don't even tell me what you're handing me. Just build something, hand it to me, let me hit it. And if we need to move on, we move on or whatever. And like I said, it was a great time. So the next thing we're talking about today is going to be the new Mizuno driver, the ST-G, which also has the 220 moniker because the last one I think was 200, but the 220 moniker is kind of not used in the naming of it. And the ST-G is basically, I mean, if you look at it from the top, it's pretty much identical to the ST-Z, ST-X. Very similar where it's got the gloss black, crown near the front. You got the big carbon weave on the back. Little ST-G logo down near the heel. But a really classy look, and I've really liked the past, even this one now. But I really loved the look of last year's. I mean, there's still this year's drivers. I think they really did a high quality look to it, and this one is exactly the same with the way they did it with the carbon and the black. Just overall a really quality looking top when you look at it from a dress. Like I said, the gloss of the carbon, and it's all kind of blended in. Just has a really solid look to it. So, excuse me. But the big thing about the ST-G is this year is it's got 3 weight tracks. So 2 weight tracks, fade and draw. Out in the toe, one out and down in the heel, and then it's got a short one in the very, very back. And basically what you're doing is allowing, ball bias flight changes. And you can move these weights around a little bit. So basically if you want to have a really neutral driver with low ball flight, you can slide both weights forward in the heel and toe tracks. If you want something that's, more mid-flight, you can move, but neutral, slide them backwards, so they're both in the toe and heel tracks, but all the way back. But then you can also add, you can add a high flight fade, which you would basically take, which kind of what I've done a little bit, which take the weight out of the heel, add it to the back, and then you have the weight in the toe, and that's kind of a high fade option. And then you can have the max fade, which is taking both weights and putting them both in the toe track. To make max draw, you would do the same thing, move both weights down in the heel, and it just gives you a lot of options to move the tracks around, to kind of dial in the ball flight for your swing. And like last year's ST-Z was very forgiving, but it was really pretty neutral. It didn't have a ton of draw bias built into it. I thought it was one of the more neutral heads that still offered a ton of forgiveness for players who kind of fought a little bit of a hook but needed help, on those missed shots. I thought the ST-Z last year was that. But this one here is, like I said, adding a bunch of adjustability. And then on top of that, it's got the adjustable hosel, which just for my own use here, it was easy to just take the shaft off. But they also have the adjustable hosel, so you can dial in, add loft, remove loft, make things more upright, whatever you need to do. And that part of it, between a bunch of tracks and the hosel adjustment, this thing should be able to be dialed into just about anybody. It really is, like I said, a good-looking package. And I guess, the short 3 tracks, I guess, is just the amount, the same as having a couple long tracks like they did in the one, what was it, the ST-190G, as well as the ST-200, or no, they didn't have anything in the ST-Z or ST-X, but the 190G had those really long tracks in it, and the ST-G has 3 kind of short tracks. So as you can see with mine, I've got the weight for fade back, and then I've got I took the other weight out of the draw slot and put it in the back port, but I slid it forward just to see, you know, how it would change. And I do have to say, like I said, was not swinging the club well the past couple times I've been out, and even on the range, just haven't swung it great. And this thing here, I tell you what, I've hit a lot of adjustable drivers with adjustable weights and all that, and the amount that they really move ball flight is not typically a ton. For whatever reason, moving it in this position, putting the one weight dead center, but pushed forward, so not all the way back, pushed forward, and then leaving the fade weight in, it was really hard to turn over. It was really interesting. I found that ball, and if I didn't release the club and I kind of hung on, that thing went super high, super right. And it was really interesting that, for whatever reason, putting these 2 weights over here really affected ball flight for me. I mean, it was just one of those things where I did it on the range, just wanted to mess with it, see if it would work, see what it was doing. And moving it over there, after I moved it there, other than, like I said, steep over the top club path, you know, that went left. Like I said, there's nothing that can stop that. But I'm, you know, decent swings. I never had to worry about it really going that far left. It was really interesting to play this thing and to see the movable weights actually, you know, work. I mean, it worked pretty well. I was really surprised on it. But moved them around a little bit. I was hitting it with a hazardous black RDX. That's what came stock in it. I know they have a ton of shafts that are, you know, that you can put in there for no upcharge. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this the tech in here, like the face, comes from the previous ST models, which is that SAT 2041 beta tie. And it's basically, you know, supposed to be 17% stronger than you know, regular 6.4 titanium, and also supposed to, like, you know, keep the grain structure longer, so you know, it keeps that ball speed up. But a lot of that's still the same. Like I said, carbon crowned them so they can take some of that weight, probably add it to the tracks, and it definitely also has the wave sole down near the bottom. So as you hit balls, the face can flex a little bit, especially shots hit low on the club face. You get a little more flex, keeps the ball speed up, and helps with those shots. And I can say that hitting it low on the face, it does go pretty well. But the head is actually really easy to use, and like I said, the movable weights work pretty well. I didn't move anything back into draw to see, like, oh, would I, you know, hit a big old draw either. But once I found kind of that it worked in fade, I just kind of left it there. But overall, the sound is a little louder than the ST-Z, ST-X that came out previously. It's got a little more of a metallic ping to it when you hit it dead center. The metallic kind of sound stays with it even on the miss hits. It's though a little more muted. But dead center shots flushed, I can tell you because I didn't hit a ton of them. Definitely a little more metallic sound than the ST-Z and ST-X. I will say I don't like that quite as much, but it could be a thing with the tracks and all that inside. I mean, anything internally structure-wise will adjust the sound on these heads. So the sound is just a little bit louder than you know, the other 2 drivers that are out. You know, is it bad? No. I mean, it's a metallic ping. It's not crazy loud. It just has more of a metallic ting to it on impact than the previous ones did. So overall, like I said, I don't love that sound as much, but it still performs really well. The Mizuno drivers, if you haven't tried them in the past, I mean, say 3 generations, maybe 4, ever since they went from blue to going to a black crown or to the same black crown. So what is it? The 190G, the 200, or the ST-190, the ST-200, and now the 220. If you haven't tried any of these, they're definitely worth trying because they are really good heads. Mizuno's done a great job with the wood line. Excuse me. And the woods that perform up there with anything. I mean, if you put them up against any of the other big OEMs known for drivers, these things are going to hang with it. And this one does. This thing's really long. Like I said, I was hitting a lot of stuff out on the toe. And just because I was kind of coming over the top and swinging down on it, and as you swing down on it, it was hitting everything kind of high toe. So I was doing that, unfortunately, a lot with the driver the past couple days. But I'm still getting, you still got decent distance out of it. I mean, I was still, shorter, perfect drive. Sure, they weren't close, but I wasn't losing so much yardage, and it wasn't, the ball wasn't falling out of the sky at such a steep descent angle that I was just going to hit stuff crazy short. I mean, yes, hitting as far out in the toe, I did. I mean, my Mevo Plus would, it was 10 yards shorter, but for where I was hitting it, which was probably out here, high up here, I mean, you're miles away from the sweet spot at that point, and to still only lose 10 yards and still come down with what could be a decent amount of roll was pretty impressive. I mean, it really was an easy to hit driver. It seems to be very forgiving. But I think the shape and the adjustability is really going to appeal to those guys who want to work the ball too. I mean, if you're a player who sits there, you have a little draw and you want to kind of correct that and make it just, fall to the left, great. Move the weights around. I think you'll find, something there setting wise that will help you, help you if you find that shot. If you're somebody who slices it a ton, great. Move both weights over, or, you need help getting the ball a little higher, pop a weight in the back track. I mean, there's so many adjustability options that I think, really low single-digit players all the way up to high handicap players will find this driver to probably be a successful piece, just because you'll be able to set it up for you. And along, like I said, with the hosel, you could make that thing a little more upright. You can make it a little, excuse me. I think you can also make it a little bit flat as well. The standard is like 56 and a half, and then it'll go all the way up to like 59. And a half degrees in terms of upright. So, I mean, you can leave it flat. You can play it upright. You can really mess with this thing and get it dialed in. And especially for the better player who kind of knows what they want, knows what they're looking for, this thing here, I think, is going to offer a lot of options. But, like I said, off-speed or off-center hits really, performed well. They went a long way. They stayed on line pretty well. I mean, I was kind of shocked. Launch on it is pretty flat. Again, we were playing that hazard as black RDX, and this is a 9-degree head, so a little low for me anyway. And I didn't have time to swap out. I've got my Club Connects in the ST-Z, and I didn't have time. By the time I got this in and all that, I've just played it the way it is. But the hazardous RDX Smoke Black is a little lower launching in a 9-degree head. If this is a 10 or 10 and a half degree head, it would probably be better. But it's a pretty flat driver. It seems to really have pretty low spin on it. My Mevo Plus, everything on there, especially when you hit it anywhere close to center, was low 2000s. I mean, I saw a 2036 on a really well-struck shot that was just, straight but flat. I mean, nothing, nothing in terms of wind, hitting into the wind would really disturb it. Everything's low spin. But it did fly pretty flat. I was expecting it to go a little higher. I think out of the three Mizuno heads, I think this one flies the flattest and the lowest. Like I said, compared to ST-Z, ST-Z kind of flies a little bit higher than this one for me. Now, granted, hitting different shafts in each one, but I think if I put the same shafts in here, I would still see a flatter ball flight with this one here. But like I said, the shots hit off the toe worked really well. Anything hit low on the face actually moved pretty well. Ball speed didn't drop, crazy low, and you were still able to get a ball that went out there. It went out flat. It kind of, went out flat low, but it actually would have ran for a while. It went out pretty darn hot. And like I said, I was hitting stuff high toe all day, and the ball speed was pretty good. I think the sweet spot probably does venture its way up near there, and those shots there held a lot of ball speed. Like I said, I mean, I'd lose 10 yards, but if you looked at where it hit it on the face, you would expect it to be way more than that. You would probably think that I was going to lose, 15 to 20 yards. And the angle of descent was still pretty shallow, and I think I would have still got some roll out of that. So overall, some of the shots that I think that I really missed, it didn't, hit great, I think would have been playable out on the, from the range today out on the course. And it was just, it's a good head. I mean, I think Mizuno, again, designed a really good head. I think it's going to be underrated. People aren't, not as many people are going to try it as they probably should. But I think it's a great driver to try, and especially if you're, like me, you're a WRX guy who just you love tinkering with it. You want to pop a couple different shafts in. You want to mess with different weights. You want to set it up for your shot shape, whatever. I think this is going to give you a ton of options, and I think you're going to be really happy with it. But it's, like I said, a really good performer, just like the other ones have been. And it'll be overlooked by some people, which is unfortunate. But Mizuno, again, has made another really good a good driver that's worth trying. And like I said, with their kind of stable of custom shafts that you can order with no upcharge, there's a lot of options in terms of, if you want something lower launching, higher launching, whatever. I think they offer something like, I think that's like 30 shafts. I don't think all of them are are upcharge, or they will offer like 36 shafts, but they offer a good amount that are not upcharge. I mean, you can get a Tensei CK Blue. I mean, there's a bunch of options here. I mean, the pro stuff is upcharge, but like I said, a lot of options here that you can put into this head to really dial it in, and it's definitely worth a try if you're looking for a new driver. Put this on your list to try it, especially if you can, go out there in the range, take a wrench and just, move the weights around a little bit and see how it fits you. I think you'll be pretty pleasantly surprised with the way you'll be able to dial it into with your swing. So the ST-G, we'll call the ST-G, even though it's got a 220 moniker, they're not, like I said, I think Mizuno even kind of said they're not going to really push that number too hard anymore. But the ST-G is, like I said, probably the most, the driver that with adjustable weights that I've seen the most movement with, which is kind of cool. So definitely try it out. If you go to, MizunoGolf.com, check out all the features, all the different shafts they offer, all that. But a really good head there, and I think another driver that Mizuno's made that's going to be really solid. And the people who do hit it, I think we'll talk about it and let you know how good it is. And a lot of people will pass it on the shelf for something else, which is a bummer. But if you get a chance, it's in your local shop. Give the ST-G a try. Like I said, if you're looking for something kind of mid-launch, ton of adjustability, good shape to it, pretty good sound. Really good feel to it. I mean, when you hit it flush, you can really feel the ball like compress off the face and go. So the responsiveness on the face is really good. When you hit it a high toe, you don't quite feel that same compression. You get a little more vibration. You kind of feel that you didn't hit it great, and then you watch the ball come out high and do a little buzz to the left. But it overall, like I said, performs really well, even on miss hits. Like I said, center shot's going to go. The ball speeds are really good, but the off-speed stuff, especially high toe, tend to hold some pretty good ball speeds. So, the ST-G from Mizuno, another good head from them. So, that's pretty much all I've got today. Like I said, I'm going to go out and play tonight. Hopefully we'll get our even just 9 holes in before the weather turn, or the evening sets in. It's like it sets in at like 7 o'clock now, so we're going to start teeing off at like 2. And then I'm playing in a kind of a bigger event with some Golf the Rex guys on Friday, which will be fun. Some employees are going to go out and play. And then, like I said, Saturday hit some balls and on the range and do some cool stuff. So a lot of golf, a lot of swings in the future. If you have any questions, anything, hit me up on Instagram. It's the best way to do it, at Club Junkie Pod. I know a lot of you guys have been hitting me up this week about some questions about shafts and other things like that I've hit. I always try to answer everything I can. If I miss them, I apologize. I don't purposely do it, but sometimes if you don't answer it immediately and another couple of questions come in, sometimes it's hard to find one of them. So I may have missed 1 or 2 in the past week. I apologize for that. And then if like I said, you have any questions, any ideas, any thoughts, whatever, hit me up there. It's the best way to do it. And hopefully you guys have a good weekend. Get out, play some golf. I know us Northerners, there's not a ton of time left, so get out, play, and we'll talk next week.